join me? Want to pre-sprout some ranunculus? What about anemones? That's a fun word. You want to just go lay down? You can do that too. Good girl. Always have to be touching. Hey garden friends, you're joining me in my greenhouse. Just to give you a heads up on the kind of greenhouse that I have, it's a Willow Backyard Discovery greenhouse that we just installed in November, and I am making a ton of use out of it, let me tell you. Today what I'm doing is pre-sprouting my ranunculus and some anemones. I love that word. Every time I say that word or hear that word, I think of
Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
Yeah. Probably gonna edit that out. So I am here with my supplies for soaking my ranunculus corms in Rootshield and some mycorrhiza and azospirillum. This is actually rainwater, so another important thing is to use non-chlorinated water. So this is fresh rainwater with mycorrhiza and azospirillum. It's a 5-gallon bucket, but it's only about half full, a little less than half full. So I'm going to venture to guess this is around 2 gallons with inoculant already in it. I'm just going to add some BioWorks Rootshield to it. This is a really great product. It's actually made locally to me in Victor, New York, which I didn't realize. All these years I've been hearing about Rootshield being a great product for protecting, for example, Azeanthus, a lot of ornamental flowers, greenhouse crops from things like fusarium wilt, and a lot of fungal or bacterial infections, especially in greenhouses, like commercial greenhouses. What they've also found is that it can help prevent against transplant shock. So there's a lot of instructions in this. I would definitely recommend checking out their website and some of their tutorials and some of their studies. The other thing about this, which is a little different from these, is that this does have to be refrigerated. You have to keep it at around 40 degrees. Short periods at room temperatures below 75 will not affect performance. So it does say that, but then keep container tightly closed when not in use and store in original container under refrigerated conditions. Keep in mind, these are living products, so that's why that's important. And then these you can keep at room temperature. So these ones, as long as they're in a dark, cool location, it says store this product between 38 and 85 degrees, avoid direct sunlight. So the other thing is you want to, they say to stir this constantly and to do it to have them soaking for about 4 hours. I've already done a round of corms for ranunculus. Those were corms from Longfield Gardens. The anemones and the ranunculus corms that I have now, these are actually from dutchgrown.com. So I've had really good success with them so far as delivering and shipping and things like that, and communication, and the options available. I really enjoy using their website. But again, I'm not sponsored or partnered with anybody. I don't get paid to do this. I wish I did. Ones from Longfield Gardens I received in December, I want to say. I'm going to try doing the same thing that I did with the Longfield Gardens corms, and hopefully I have the same success. So let me show you the corms that I got, and I'll put on the screen what they are, and so you can see what they're supposed to look like a few months from now. So I got the Panda Bianco Maestro Plus. These grow about, it says 18 to 24 feet. I think that's a misprint. 18 to 24 inches. 18 feet. There's 10 bulbs in here. They look like little creatures. The sea creatures, sea urchins. These ones are Galilee pink anemones. And then the corms that I got, all different Ranunculus corms. These ones I'm really excited about, and I hope they do well. The corms themselves, just looking at them, look like they're pretty strong. So these ones are the Italian Ranunculus, Elegance Rosa Chiaro. And yeah, again, 18 to 24. Here it does say inches, not feet. And then I got 3 bags of the Pauline Pastel. So that's these 3. So there's 30 of those. And then these are the Amandine Peach Salmon. So I'm really looking forward to these as well. I'm going to soak them with this for about 3 hours. The measurements are in this packet, so if you do get Rootshield, just read the instructions. But after doing a little bit more of the math, there is a range, so you can go on a little more or a little less. It's not a very strict measurement, but for about 2 gallons of water, I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of this. This is one thing that's different from the Longfield Gardens ones that I did. I had those in nets. They actually were repurposed nets from my, I got organic lemons. And you know how they come in like a, I guess it's like a nylon or some kind of netting bag. These are hold bags that do say non-toxic, groundwater safe, recycle, groundwater neutral, recycle. So I'm just gonna leave them in here and stir it occasionally. I'm not gonna be here constantly stirring it. And immediately after I get these in here, I have to go run an errand because life. This is what it looks like. It's kind of like a green tan sand color. So for roughly 2 gallons, because it's 2 gallons, which is a lot more than I need for just these batch of corms, I'm also going to use it for some other, I have some bare root peony cuttings that I'm going to put in here when I'm done with the ranunculus. So I'm definitely going to be using this. All right, let's get the ranunculus in here. I'm just going to put them all in at the same time. And we'll see if they can stay down, because again, this is plastic. Oh yeah. So just before sunset, I'll be finishing these up. But I'm going to be coming out here and stirring it. I'd say probably every 15 minutes to 30 minutes, I'll be out here stirring it. Okay, so I'm going to let these soak again for about 3 hours, and I have to go run an errand, and I'll be back. When I come back, you're going to see what I'm going to do. I just need a unperforated container. The last time I used this container, and it actually worked better than the turkey tray that I had for the other ones. That one worked okay, and it might have just been the corms, different germination rate, sprouting rate. But this actually worked pretty good, and we'll see if I can fit all of them in this container. So stay tuned, and we'll be back. Oh, and for inspiration, I couldn't help myself. I was at the garden center. I just needed the inspiration for pre-sprouting and soaking my corms. So So have a beautiful day, and we'll be back in a few minutes. So it's been 3 hours. I'm going to talk very briefly because my neighbors are listening to music very loudly. Welcome to the city, and I don't want a copyright strike. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. I have my soil all ready in my container where I'm going to store them, and I'll do a voiceover of what I'm doing so you can follow along and maybe do this for your own ranunculus or anemones. So stay tuned.
Probably the most important thing to keep in mind when you're pre-sprouting anything, whether it's corms or bulbs, is to not have too wet of soil. In fact, really, the potting soil that you use has moisture in it already. So just like planting tulips or putting them in containers, the biggest risk is that they can rot if they're in really damp conditions. So you really want to make sure that the soil that you're using is moist but not wet. And because the corms were soaking for several hours, they already are moist enough. So all you really need here is just a little bit of potting soil, some vermiculite, and I found that seed starting mix is actually sufficient. Mix that all together. Plant the corms with the legs facing down so that the growth point is facing up. And same thing with anemones.
Okay, so this side is going to be Pauline pastel. There's 30 or more. There might be 31 in there. So this side I'm going to do the anemones and the what's left of the ranunculus. And then when I'm done, I'm going to cover them with vermiculite. And then cover them so they get more darkness. So these are the Amandine peach salmon. This is a perfect example of two that are intertwined with each other that kind of overlap. So you don't want to plant it like that. You want to make sure you very gingerly take them apart, because once they start sprouting, it's really hard to do that. So this is actually two. And make sure they're both accounted for. And basically you want the legs and the underbelly touching the soil. This top part doesn't need to be touching the soil. It's kind of like bulbs are like that too. So that's what these guys look like. And these, you just find where the top is, have that facing upright, and then put them down. All right, so that's all, folks. I'm gonna cover these with a layer of cardboard for darkness. I'm gonna keep them in about 50-degree temperature. I'm gonna adjust the greenhouse. Right now I have it set to 65 because that's comfortable for me while I'm in here, but it's gonna drop down to 32 degrees tonight outside, so I'm gonna set this to 50 so it'll keep it around 50. And I'm gonna cover this and we'll check it every day. And as the soil looks like it's starting to get dry, then I'll just come in with a spray bottle and I'll spray it. But again, just to keep it moist. We don't want wet soil. We just need the moisture so that they can stay awake and then wake up. All right, thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for updates.
Sweetie girl.
Hey friends, it is now May 6th, and it's a little late to be planting out ranunculus for most people in most zones. However, like everything for me, this is a test year. And also I want to plant them in a few different places around the property to get a sense of the different microclimates and if they are more successful in one area versus another. And especially now that we have a greenhouse this year, how that affects the different microclimates on our property. So there are 3 different locations in the landscape sort of that I'm thinking about planting them. One is in ground. Then there's another area in our raised beds on the east side of the property, on that side of the greenhouse, and that gets morning sun and afternoon shade. And then there's another area against the house. That area is in a raised bed with a trellis that I also have sweet peas growing and violas. I'm going to test it out and see how these do in those different areas. I already do have ranunculus growing in the front of the greenhouse beds, and so I'll show those in a few seconds. But just to give you an idea of how they're looking, this is what we pre-sprouted, and you can easily tell the difference which ones are the anemones, the handful of anemones, and the rest being ranunculus. So as soon as they do sprout, you can plant them out. You don't have to pre-sprout them. You can soak them and then immediately plant them. But I wanted to pre-sprout them after I soaked them. We pre-sprouted them, put them in this container with seed starting soil mixed with a little bit of potting soil and vermiculite. And that was on April 11th, so almost a month ago. I probably could have planted these out about a week ago, but then we did get a cold snap of freezing temperatures, and also life. So let's get planting these out. I'm going to show you the 3 different locations that I'm thinking of, and we'll check back in later in the summer when they are in bloom, if they bloom. And hopefully it doesn't get too hot here. We do have a long spring, so I'm optimistic that I can get away with a little bit more cool season flowers later in the season than most, but we'll see. So this is one section of my garden that I'm planning to plant them in. This area gets a little bit more shade. It does get sun, but because of the shade on multiple sides, it tends to stay about 10 degrees cooler here than elsewhere. Just a few feet away will be full sun and heat, whereas here would stay a little bit cooler. So I'm going to plant a few in front of these baby hostas that are starting to grow, and actually not in front, against the trellis, so that they have a support. And if I need to stake them, I can against the trellis. And so this is just one spot. Getting the first corms out. I can feel root. Wow, look at those roots. Those are looking beautiful. So those are really long roots. I have a feeling they're going to do just fine. I just want to check that this is one corm and not two corms that got stuck together. Had that happen before. No, it looks like it's one corm with 4 sprouts coming out of the one corm. It's crazy. I'm going to plant them about 3 inches apart. So that's this bed, and I'm thinking about saving this front area for some low grower like alyssum or something like that, just to add a pop of color, and sort of a ground cover annual. If anyone has suggestions, put in the comments, feel free. But these are the Ranunculus. I have one baby one back here. I don't know if you can see it. So bed number 1. And this is fullest sun bed number 2. Morning sun, afternoon shade. I'm going to plant them along here. So this is area 2 planted. I'm not sure if I put them too close together, but my pinky space, I tend to plant things close together, but we'll see how they do. Up here I'm going to plant some other things. I haven't decided yet for sure what. I have a few snapdragons. I have a lot of things that could go up here. TBD. And I had 2 extras, so in addition to the ones that are over here, I planted those 2 up here with my sweet peas. This gets a little bit more sun. It's still a relatively shade area though. And sweet peas, which I'm going to train to go up the trellis once they start moving. Actually, they are starting to. This is my cover the AC unit section. Well, they got a little bit longer in a day, actually. They were sticking out a little bit, but not that much. I think they grew about an inch or 2 since yesterday. And then the other location, this is going to be set up for loofahs once I take the tarp off with all that water on top of it and have the cattle panel set up. And this is the other area. It gets warmth, but it does get some shade. So, and I'm thinking these gladiolas, when they come up, they will offer some support as well. So it's a little muddy here right now. But yeah, so I'm going to remove this netting, squirrel netting, and plant the ranunculus back there too. Okay. Can never have too much cardboard on hand. this might be too muddy. I'm just putting too much water. You know what, I'm gonna get some perlite to throw in here. Here come the zoomies. That's neat. So you can see, slow down. Go run. Wow. So you can see all the anemone roots and the ranunculus around. Okay, I'm gonna plant the rest in the bed, raised bed, because in addition to being concerned about the soil being too clay, I think I did a good job of adding perlite, and that would help. I'm also concerned about, we have groundhogs, and being in the landscape, I have a little bit less control over pests. Like rodents and birds, and I do have squirrel netting that I can put back on, but still the foliage is exposed, so we'll see how they do. But this again is just a test year to see how everything grows and which spots work better than others, so I know for next year and future years. Very loosely put this netting on to protect it from the next few days. There's one anemone that rotted. It's an example. You can see the green and it's squishy and rotted through. The rest of them, I'm impressed. I haven't come across any other rotted corms. Okay, finally got them apart. A few of these I think I'm going to plant in containers because it's getting a little crowded. So let's say 4. I'm going to plant in container. Well, that about does it for our ranunculus and anemones pre-sprouting, soaking, pre-sprouting, and planting segment. But we'll see how they go. Feel free to put in the comments your expectations, your bets on what will do well, what won't, but perhaps all of them will. We'll see. And again, this is a learning year for me, especially since having the greenhouse on the property, and I'm using this year to test out what works well in what microclimates in my backyard. Now that there are new shade locations that did not exist before, and new heat areas, areas that get full sun, areas that get part sun now. So it'll be interesting to see. I look forward to sharing the updates in a few months of how they look, and over the next few weeks as they progress, as they're growing, what's going well, what's maybe not. But I finished planting just in the nick of time. As you can probably hear, it is now downpouring. So I got them in the ground just in time. Tonight we're supposed to get temperatures around 39 degrees. It's okay, these guys are cold, hardy plants. What they really don't like is heat. So once they get above 70, that's when I've been reading that they start to taper out and they don't bloom. So that's where my concern is now that it is May 6th. Again, we are in Rochester. This week we'll have temps in the 50s, nighttime temperatures in the 40s all week. And then next week it'll bump up to 60s with nighttime temperatures in the 50s. So next week is when I'm prepping my bed for my loofah to go out, which should have nighttime temperatures of 55 and up. So that's when we're getting into the real warmer planting out season, at least here in Rochester. We do get a long spring, so we'll see how they do. But yeah. And also, if you have any suggestions as far as interplanting, things that I should pop into that flower bed in front of the ranunculus, if you have any tips or suggestions or comments, please feel free to share them. And feel free to stay in touch and continue to check out future videos and updates as we go along. I'm Justine, Flower City Blooms. Like, subscribe, join the channel, stay updated, and happy gardening.